Well, hello and welcome everyone to this episode of the GreeneScene Podcast. We're going to have some fun today, and I'll tell you what, it's very timely what we're going to talk about. I'm Shelly Brown, your host today, and my guest is Murray Hoy of Four Seasons Lawn and Garden. Hello, Murray.
Hello, Shelly.
I tell you, it's that time of year. It's that time of year that we all start thinking about what we need, and the grass is growing and the flowers are starting, and we're trying to do the garden, and we're going to talk all about that, Murray. You're just the right person to do it. In fact, I'd like for you to explain to people why. Where'd you come from, Murray? You lived in Greene County all your life?
I've been here all my life, yeah. Worked in the electrical industry for 17 years and then decided I wanted my own business, and we purchased Fran's Lawn and Garden back in the day, and we purchased them, and then Yarish and Carmichael's, who was a John Deere dealer, and combined the two here, and everything was downhill from that. I mean,
Four Seasons Lawn and Garden was born.
Four Seasons Lawn and Garden was born.
When was that?
1995.
95. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that was down there on.
It was where the karate place is now.
Okay, yeah,
where
I remember.
Started that, and then we moved out to our current location in 98, I believe, 97 or 98.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I remember that place really well, and your father Jack was a part of that in the beginning when he.
Dad and I started together, and then in 98 I bought him out, and he worked at Fox's in selling cars after that.
Yeah, he didn't. He's hard to stop.
Yeah. Then after he retired from Fox's, he came back to work for me, picking up and delivering tractors. So.
There you go. Yeah, he was a character. Good man. You know what? We were talking a little bit earlier before we started recording today. I feel like I was a little bit part of that beginning when it started.
Because
I was. Of course, I was working for the GreeneScene magazine here up here, Direct Results, and I was the salesperson for advertising. That was my thing. And you were one of my most challenging potential advertisers. Actually, I first tried to sell you when you were working for Allied
Electric,
right.
Yes.
I remember that too. You either weren't there or just didn't.
I didn't talk to anybody selling advertising. I avoided everybody.
Like, I gotta figure this guy out, you know. So one day I'm in there once again trying to sell you advertising, and I ran across they put out like a newsletter for their employees.
It was a magazine they did of all the employees and had pictures of us and a backstory about us and our hobbies and families and everything.
I hadn't even met him yet because he didn't talk to people that were coming in there trying to sell advertising. And so I saw, they got a picture. So I grabbed that magazine, took it with me. And I had a friend who did caricatures at that time. And there was a picture of Murray in there and a whole story. I knew he liked to fish, and it was all about him, all personal stuff. So I had this cartoonist that I knew draw up a whole little portrait of you. And it was doing all the things. You were fishing in it or something.
Yeah, it was one of my hobbies at that time was fishing.
Yeah,
but everything about me was in that picture.
Right. And so I delivered it to him.
You sent it to my house.
That's right. I mailed it. I mailed it in the U.S. mail and said something like, "Well, now that I know all about you,
can't wait to see you again, Shelly."
Oh, is that what it said? Can't wait to see you. Actually, see you. Now I didn't. I thought I got to draw his attention somehow. Well. The first attention I got was a phone call from his wife.
Yeah. Who the hell's Shelly?
Yeah. I mean, it was funny. We laughed. It wasn't so funny at the time. I was a little worried. I still hadn't met him, but I knew his wife, and she made sure. And of course, we became pretty good friends over the years too. And you became one of my best advertisers.
Thank you.
So, and with once you got Four Seasons opened up. Then
you became my go-to for any kind of advertising.
Yeah, it was fun. We did well together. The GreeneScene magazine and Direct Results, and actually to this day, I'm sure you're still ordering your stickers and things from. Yeah. So let's talk about that just a little. It started in '95, and then you expanded.
Yeah, we were, John Deere and Steel, and that was our two main lines. We did, small engine repairs, but that was our two main lines for years. That was the only thing we sold. When we wanted to expand and through the attrition of other dealers, we ended up with, Dry Tavern, Sales and Service they were Husqvarna and Simplicity. Well, when they closed, we ended up with Husqvarna and Simplicity to take over the lines they had. And then Coyote Tractors came along.
I remember the Coyotes,
10, 12 years ago. And then Simplicity went out of business, so we didn't have Simplicity no more. And then more recently, the Steiner product, which, the all-terrain hillside stuff, and we got into that 5 years ago, I think. And then Steiner was purchased by Bobcat. Now it's a Bobcat tractor versus a Steiner tractor, and they're making all kind of changes.
Yeah.
And then most recently, 3 years ago, Steel got into the zero turn business, so they brought in another line of mowers. So it just, times change and we change with them. That's
necessary.
If you're not changing, you're not growing. So,
and you seem to be the only one in town that has survived through all that.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
There's not too many. I mean, there's some, larger tractor dealers, but as far as working on lawn mowers, I don't know any other dealers in Greene County anymore.
And that's a big part of the business is also your maintenance and repair, right?
Sure. I mean, that's what sets us apart from, Lowe's and Tractor Supply and all the big box stores. I mean, we work on and service and do warranty repairs for everything we sell. So you don't have to take it someplace else or call the manufacturer and deal with anything. You bring it back to us and we fix it.
That means a lot.
We tell people a lot. I mean, there's a lot of products that that you could buy at Lowe's, and we sell the same thing. Most of the time for the same price they do. Mm-hmm. But when you need it fixed, you're not going to go back to Lowe's. They don't fix it. So we and we work on the stuff that people bought there, but it's I'm going to take care of the customers that bought from me first before I work on something that. Well, that's natural. We'll fix it, but it's going to put you in a different place in line.
Speaking of the line, it being in line, that's another thing that I think if there's one thing you could get your customers to understand about your business and how it works, what is it?
Spring comes every year around the 1st of April.
Right.
So if you get your mower out the 1st of April and it doesn't start, typically by that time, everybody else has done the same thing and we are covered up with stuff. So it's a 2 or 3 week wait to get your mower repaired.
Right.
So having that work done at the end of the season or through the winter, so that you're prepared for spring.
Right.
This makes everybody's life easier. I mean, we hate telling anybody that you're going to have to wait. But it's just the nature of the beast. I mean, if I could find qualified mechanics that would work 3 months out of the year, we typically do 50% of our annual volume, April, May, and June. So half of our year is crammed into 3 months.
Into 3 months, yeah.
So it's that mechanic or technical person is the hardest position we have to fill.
Is it? That's the most challenging.
Everybody in the industry is looking for mechanics. I mean, the auto industry, the motorcycles, everybody is looking for mechanics. So we're competing for the same people they are. Yeah. And it just, they're
not there.
No. Yeah. And so that backs everything up. I mean,
in order to drive that home for people, you encourage them to come in the winter months.
Right. We do a winter service special so that, we'll come and pick your mower up, completely service it, change all the fluids and sharpen the blades and clean under the deck and grease everything, clean everything. It's all ready to go. It's spring, so we have I don't know how many ever different things we do to every mower. Anybody, within the Greene County area, the pickup and delivery is free. Outside the Greene County area, we offer half price.
That's a real plus right there, yeah.
And we run that from, typically the 1st of November to the end of February. It's, the last couple of years with the dry summer, we've started at actually the beginning of October because people were already finished mowing.
Yeah, with the drought.
So, we backed it up and started it sooner. And typically, unless spring has come early, that end of February date isn't a hard date. I mean, we'll still, we'll work into the first couple of weeks of March. Especially for somebody that's always got it done every year, that sort of thing.
Sure.
And for customers that bought from us, it helps us out. We keep our guys busy through the winter and takes that load off in the spring.
It makes sense. So folks, remember that. You've got to. I think you often advertise that or do a mailing, post it online.
We do a mailing to everybody that's bought a mower from us. We run it in the Green Saver and GreeneScene. So we try to promote that as much as we can.
Yeah. Might as well start the day you quit. The day you quit.
When you get done in the fall, especially if it's broke in the fall, don't wait till April to fix it. It broke last fall, but I didn't bring it in till now.
You think, I got time, and then the next thing you know,
well, it's out of sight, out of mind.
That's it. True. So now, do you run into a lot of people who are trying to maintain themselves or repair, and then they get in a mess and can't do it, or?
Yeah, most people, if they're doing their own maintenance, there's nothing, there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people, are no problem, but making sure you're covering everything that
Yeah.
You know, and it's, of course, I grew up on a farm. I mean, you didn't move anything without a grease gun first.
Exactly.
And,
Maintenance is really the key.
It is the key, you know.
Clean, greased.
Yep.
I remember I had a funny comment made to me one time. As you mentioned earlier, everybody has the trouble with finding good, qualified mechanics and keeping them. Super Dave, the motorcycle shop up there, he told me one time, I just remember this is a funny comment. He said, when the guy comes in and he says, there's something wrong with it. I don't know what it is. Had my buddy look at it. He changed the car, or he, worked on the carburetor and it's just still not working. He says that now I know right where to go. I know right what to look at. So sometimes it means a lot to have expert, good mechanics, and it's very difficult to find.
I mean,
yes.
And in the mechanic position, 99% of that is diagnostics.
Yeah.
Once you know what's wrong with it,
Then
you're going to replace that part.
Yeah.
Knowing what's wrong with it is where people, well, I've already done this and I've already done this and I've already done this. Well, did you check the fuse?
Yeah.
Well, no, it's got a fuse. Well, yeah, it's got a fuse. So after you've replaced the key switch and the battery and the starter and everything, you found out it was a 50-cent fuse that was the problem.
Yeah.
So it's knowing where to look for the problem, or diagnosing it is key to working on anything.
That makes perfect sense, and it takes experience to know that.
Sure.
I mean, that's just what it does. But one thing I know, and everybody that I know knows this from personal experience, you guys are really good. Your people at helping that, and when you got a problem or you just need some information, it's not like it's some big giant secret and you're not going to tell me until I bring it there and lay my money down. I mean, you're really good. I think that's a sign of a local business.
It is, and that's what I encourage people to deal with us, because we still answer the phone. It's not a computer, and the person on the phone either can get you the answer or find someone else that can, not that we know everything. There's things, that we don't know, but
very little
versus, when you call an 800 number and a computer answers and you press 1 and 7 and 6, and, and maybe get to talk to somebody or leave a message and nobody calls you back. It's just, that's the difference between dealing with a independent dealer versus somebody with multiple branches and stores and that sort of thing, or big box stores. So,
and I think anybody that deals with you knows that. Mm-hmm. So those of you that want to join us smart people, then you'll deal with you. It works, it's true.
Right.
And we all know that to be. That's one nice thing about Greene County and a lot of the businesses that are here. We still have them, that they are just, their goal is, obviously everybody's goal is to be successful and take care of your employees and your business and grow. But they're also so concerned about you, about us. When I say you, I mean me, us, the customer.
Well,
Customer is important.
Everybody wants convenience.
Yeah.
It's convenient to have local businesses to deal with.
Yes.
But to keep local businesses local,
you got to deal with them.
You need to deal with them, So that's, I try to keep all my business as local as possible,
right.
And deal with the people here in town, because I appreciate having them here. So
yeah, I know you brought this up a minute ago, but let's run down what you sell, what products you sell, name brands and types of products right now.
Right now, John Deere, we sell all
Obviously.
the lawn and garden stuff. We don't have the big tractors in John Deere. We sell the Gators, the side by side.
Yeah, my Gator. I got a Gator.
Steel was a super good line for us. Steel has been in Waynesburg. Steel was here probably for 20 years before I bought Fran's Lawn and Garden and became a Steel dealer. So it's very. Everybody seems to own a Steel product around, but so we've done really well with that. It's a great line, and amazingly, it's still a family-owned business.
That may be why.
Yeah, the Steel family still owns that. It's not traded on the open stock market.
Interesting.
And then Coyote tractors is what we, our larger tractors are Coyote. Coyote's been around since the 80s. They're built in South Korea. It's a unique company in the fact that in South Korea, they own their own iron ore mine, their own steel mill. They produce
everything they need.
To build those tractors and implements and everything that goes with them. So it's a pretty unique. They build their own engines. There's not too many tractor manufacturers that build their own engines. The big engine, the Kubotas and the Cats and the big engine manufacturers, John Deere. But most of the rest of them are using somebody else's engine, and Coyote builds their own. And then Steiner, formerly Steiner product. It's a Bobcat. I mean, it's, there's Steiner and Ventrac are the only two, players in that market. And with the hilly terrain we have, they're awesome. I mean, they'll mow ground that you can't hardly walk on.
Yeah,
so,
right.
But we've done really well with those, and the newest line that we got coming now is Ferris, and Ferris was building the Steel zero turns, and that relationship with Steel fell apart, and so we've had such good luck with the Steel mowers built by Ferris that we're taking on the Ferris line now to replace them with. So,
well, that's great.
Yeah, it's exciting to see that. I mean, we haven't got any yet, but that's coming here in the next couple of months.
For many years, you did the rental business too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but it's
gone. Yeah,
it's gone.
We got completely out of the rental business. We sold the tent rental stuff, and then the rest of it we ended up just closing. It was too much. Took too much time for what we had to dedicate to it, and I was at a point where most of the equipment we had bought to rent was aging, and I either needed to commit to it and buy more equipment or get out of it. And we chose to get out of it. It was just
concentrate on
what we know,
you know, and where your livelihood has been. So short of getting people to bring their spring equipment in back in the fall or over the winter, what other challenges does this business face? Whether it's something unique to you or whether it's something that's everybody in that business faces.
I got to think about that for a second.
Well, until it happens, then you'll say,
the biggest challenge, I'm 63 years old. The biggest challenge for me is the changing technology. As soon as I learn how to do something, it changes, and I got to start learning all over again, and I can't keep up. It amazes me. I have chainsaws that you can't adjust the carburetor. I got to plug them into a laptop to adjust the carburetor on a chainsaw. I mean, all the tractors, everything has computers in it now. We use a laptop as much as we use a wrench sometimes because everything's technology is just advancing the same way with your automobiles, everything. Right. It's not just us, it's everything. But, as I'm trying to slow down, everything else is speeding up.
That's probably a very accurate answer. I'm sure that there are those out there nodding their head with you.
And that's a challenge for people doing their own work.
Yeah.
Your old Briggs & Stratton lawnmower, it was a spark plug and an air filter, and you changed the oil. It was simple, and nothing's simple anymore. You get electronic ignition and stuff that, we have steel tools that there's a computer chip in the ignition coil. I can plug it into a computer and tell you how many times you started it, how many hours you've ran it, what the highest RPM you ran it at. Everything about it.
Wow.
From that computer chip and ignition coil.
That's almost scary.
They're putting on the big tractors now, they've gone to this, and the government's forcing it, that they have it's a computer chip in your tractor, and it's GPS to a satellite that when you call me about your tractor, I can pull it up on the computer and see where it's setting at and tell you what you were doing when it happened and how hard it was running and all kind of information. People are fighting it because it's they call it invasion of privacy. Yeah. The only way you can hide from it if you have your tractor someplace where there's no cell phone service or no satellite service, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's not just our industry, it's everything.
Yes, it is. You're right.
Yeah.
Well, that part of the industry that we just talked about really is a challenge. I can see that. So now let me just ask you the personal side of things. What stories do you have to tell? Surely I can see that you've run into things where people come in with something you've never seen before, or something that you went home and that was you had to tell somebody over dinner and we laughed. So what comes to mind?
One that we joke about all the time, that we had a lady that needed her mower fixed. We told her it was going to be 2 or 3 weeks before we could get to it. And she said, "But you don't understand. If I don't get my mower fixed, I can't get to my dog to feed it."
Oh. Oh my goodness. That's a really late mowing.
So, but it's,
dog's going to starve if you don't.
I don't know what happened. It just quit mowing. And then we get it in there and, there's a chain or something caught up in the mower deck, or, you didn't notice you ran over a tree, but it's.
So let's talk about what people can do, like over the summer to keep. Well, obviously, we talked about bringing equipment in when it's at the end of the year, but as you use it all summer long, what kind of maintenance?
The biggest thing, grease fittings. If your machine has grease fittings, you
Use
need
them.
to grease that. I mean, and a lot. I mean, if you use it for a half an hour, you probably don't need to grease it the next day. But once every third or fourth mowing, or however, it depends on how often. If you're mowing 5 or 6 hours, then probably you do need to grease it every time you use it.
Okay.
So grease is probably just like any other equipment. Is a critical thing. Problem is a lot of this newer stuff now. It's non-serviceable bearings, they pack it with grease when it's new, and when that's gone, it's gone. So you put a new one on it. They don't have any maintenance. Checking the oil, obviously. You want to make sure it has oil in it. Keeping the air cleaner clean.
And the deck clean. I would think that's
the deck. I mean that your mowing performance, the quality of your cut is better if it's cleaned out under the deck. Sharp blades, typically, a normal lawn, you could probably run all summer on one set of blades. If you're hitting the ground a lot, or roots, or gravel, that dulls your blades. So you may, if the quality of cut isn't where you want it to be, getting the blade sharpened or putting a new set on. A lot of people will keep 2 sets of blades. So
just swap them out,
sharpen the other ones, put them on the shelf for the next time. Fuel is probably the most, and it's not a part of maintenance, but probably the thing we see the most issues with is fuel.
How is that? What, like you
the gasoline is designed to run in your fuel injected car. Everything has 10% ethanol in it.
Okay.
Ethanol is grain alcohol. They make it from corn. Grain alcohol is sitting in gasoline in a can or in your machine for more than a couple of months, begins to condense back to water.
Oh.
So now you have water in your fuel. Your engine doesn't run good on that. On the small engines, especially like the trimmers and stuff, it can actually, what they call a lean seizure, because it's got water in the gas. It doesn't have enough fuel to run the engine, so it runs lean, which then blows the motor up.
Yeah.
So you don't see it, that happen. That's the extreme. But fuel is critical. We have one place in Waynesburg that I know of. It's out by Wendy's at the Sunoco station that sells non-ethanol gas.
Okay.
We recommend that to everybody. Anything with a carburetor. The non-ethanol gas. The other fuel, you could go buy it at the gas station, put it in a can, and in 6 months,
it's going to deteriorate.
It's going bad, or leave it in the tractor over the winter. We get a lot of stuff in the spring, that doesn't run right because the gas was left in it all winter.
Is that a recommendation too? But drain that gas before you
drain it, or use the non-ethanol fuel.
Right.
The non-ethanol fuel becomes,
you don't have that problem.
It's a mute problem. Then
Okay, so with that all being said, it makes me think we don't want to leave gas also sitting over the winter or whatever in the mower. So
we used to tell people, to drain your gas or run it dry. You don't, even if you drain the gas out of the tank, you've left it in the carburetor.
Where the problem is.
So we tell people to start it up. Snow blowers are historical for that, because you used it last winter or started it, got to run it. It's set all summer, and you go to get it out the next winter and it won't start.
Yeah.
You've left that gas in it that whole time and gunked it up. So we used to tell people to run it dry, so you would start it up and run it till it quit. The problem with that was, now then you've got the gas out of the carburetor, but the diaphragms and the gaskets in the carburetor are now dry instead of wet, so they harden up and won't work.
So that's another problem.
You gum it up by leaving the gas in it. You go the other route by taking the gas out of it. The recreational non-ethanol fuel is the answer.
That's the answer.
You can leave that in there. That stuff, we tell people it's good for 2 years once you buy it,
okay,
before you have an issue with it. So, it's designed for that. And that's, you don't have to worry about draining it and doing all those other steps,
Makes sense.
Obviously, if you're going to, if something's going to set for 5 years, you probably don't want to leave it. They make, the stable products and different things to keep your gas from going bad, but you need the non-ethanol first. The other things that you treat the other gas with, I don't have any faith in any of them working.
But that leads me to think of the parts when we're like the difference between, you guys are servicing the brands that you sell, although you can service others as well. But what's the difference between aftermarket and brand?
And I'll use steel for an example because we get it a lot. It's, somebody's left the gas in their trimmer and it needs a new carburetor.
Okay.
So I can get you a new carburetor from Steel. It's an OEM product made by Steel or made for that machine. and it's $35 or $40 whatever that carburetor may be, and they tell me, well, I can get it on Amazon for $12.99.
Right. They're going to say that.
You can't get the steel carburetor on Amazon. You can get an aftermarket product that's made in China or someplace. And we've experimented with that stuff. I mean, we've tried them. I mean, brand new ones we got off of Amazon for $12.99 that don't work,
Okay. So you don't have much faith in that.
Other ones, I mean, once in a while you'll get one that does work. I mean, we've done it, especially a product that's the OEM parts are no longer available. You don't have any options.
You have to go,
so we've had to go to that. The OEM product is made by the manufacturer for that machine. The problem is I can have one model of weed eater, and depending on when that weed eater was made and what the regulations were from the government as how it was designed for air pollution, there may be 6 or 8 different carburetors that fits the same machine. According to the serial number, what year that thing was made and what engine model that was put on that machine, it's a different carburetor because it was made to run for emissions for that year differently from the next year.
When the policies changed.
When a one size fits all, it usually doesn't.
I hear that. Okay,
and then people, well, just a carburetor, aren't they all the same? Well, I wish they were, but they're not.
They're not. It's got to be complicated. Okay. Well, how long, I wonder this too, because everybody complains about, I know this in the appliance business is very challenging. It used to be you'd have a washing machine. Your mother's washing machine lasted for 30 years. Today, you're lucky to get 5, or 6 out of it. Is this the same with lawn and garden equipment?
It's amazing to me the difference, and it's all in how you take care of it and what kind of maintenance.
Well,
you do
would obviously,
I mean, I have guys with the garden. I had one guy with a garden tractor. He mowed lawns. I mean, he mowed I don't know how many lawns a week. That was his side job. When he traded his tractor, this has been many years ago. He traded his tractor in. It had over 3,000 hours on it.
Wow.
We serviced it and resold it.
He probably hated to part with that.
And that was. We're going back probably 10 or 15 years ago. And then as far as I know, the guy that bought it off me is still running it.
Okay. All right.
But then I'll have somebody that doesn't take care of their stuff and they bring it in after it's 3 or 4 years old and it looks like it's been run over by a truck.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So it's all in maintenance and care and how you take care of stuff. I mean, if you clean it, take care of it, and keep it maintained, it's going to last. I mean, and then every yard is different. You come to me and you got 1/3 of an acre that's all flat. I'm going to sell you something designed to do that.
Right.
If you're mowing 4 acres and half of it's on a hillside,
that's a different.
I'm going to sell you something different. If you buy that little mower that I'm going to sell you for 1/3 of an acre and try to mow your 4 acres with it, it's not going to last.
It's not the right machine.
It's not designed to do that. It's like buying some kind of subcompact car and going out and climbing hills with it.
Yeah, trying to do that. I hear that.
Pulling a trailer or something.
Makes sense. So, all right, and how you not only how you treat your equipment, but what that makes me think of what you've got to mow, okay, or what you've got to take care of. Some people may have really nice, golf course lawns. Others, like the lady with the dog, have some sort of like wheat field growing in their yard.
I always, when people start talking to me about what kind of mower to buy, I like to, well, first of all, do you have a yard or do you have a lawn?
Oh, okay, a yard or a lawn. I hear that.
Because there's people that are very meticulous. They treat their grass, they don't have any dandelions, they don't have any weeds. They have the same kind of grass growing everywhere, and I mean, it looks like a golf green, and they take very good care of that, and other people, just so it gets mowed every couple of weeks.
As long as they chop it off,
so it's, it varies depending on what people's, intentions are. In the industry, they tell us, that they never cut more than 1/3 of the height of the grass.
That was going to be my next question.
If your grass is 3 inches tall, you should only cut 1 inch off of it and leave 2 inches. That's what the industry says. I don't know of anybody that actually does that because you'd mow every other day, but in the springtime. But that's one thing. I mean, I mow in straight lines. I mean, I know people mow in circles. A tractor will not mow as good going around a turn as it does going straight. That blade on the outside is going at a faster speed than the one on the inside.
That's why.
So,
I always wondered that.
I mow to the end, I turn around and I mow back.
This is my husband. That's what he does.
And that's, But that's another thing, and not everybody agrees with that or believes in that, but that's my personal belief. And that's and John Deere will tell us that it's not designed to mow in a circle. It's designed to mow in a straight line. I joked in the industry that I don't know that anybody that builds a lawnmower has ever been anywhere with a hill. I think they all believe the whole world is flat. Because what do you want with it on a hill? Well, everything here is a hill on a hill. It's like, well, it's not designed to mow hills. Well, then what is? It's nobody. Of course, and that's the legal side of it. We can't tell you what it'll really do, because then we'll be responsible for it if you do
what
it.
you do. Yeah. I know. Your circle thing. I used to mow. Riding more. Once we got a riding mower, I said I'll mow, and I go out and I started around here and came around till I just got right down in the middle, which actually it wasn't a zero turn, so that doesn't work very well either. My husband I'll never mow again. He threw a fit, hissy fit, He came home. What did you do? And he does the back and forth thing,
Yep.
I've always admired those people that do the design,
The striping.
Yeah, I don't know how they do that.
That's a big thing now.
Yeah.
There's only, you get into more of the commercial equipment. It's basically a big metal roller on the back of the deck that rolls the grass and bends it in one direction. When you come back, it bends it in the other direction.
I see.
And that's
There's
your
where you
striping.
get that
Some
pattern,
people
yeah.
do a checkerboard. Some people do back and forth, or they mow it on a 45-degree angle rather than, if your yard's square, and rather than mowing just back and forth in a square, they'll go at a 45-degree angle so that it's designed the other way. And
well, I
there's
guess
like a group online that you can go to that talks about the best perfect height of grass to stripe it with, and all kind of crazy stuff. Yeah.
Well, it's art. Yeah. I'll tell you what, Murray, we could talk all day. I think about things. I have to show my appreciation for you. I earlier talked about advertising sales and when I was selling and trying to get you, and I recall when the Greene Saver, it was called at the time, when it first started. BJ and I had left the radio station and started this thing with nothing. We didn't have anything. And so we put our first issue was 12 pages, put that out, and we only had like 4 or 5 of our advertisers that we had worked with at the radio station, and you were one of them. And I came to you and I said, would you buy 2 half pages of ads, a half page, this I think it was for one brand and for another brand. And you agreed. And it was a half page. That was great. We were trying to sell. Of course, when the first issue came out, I put both half pages in there, in the same one. And I'll never forget. And you said, oh, they both ran in the same paper. He thought he was going to get one, and then the next month another one, And you were one of, I'd say, maybe 5 local businesses that we had in the very first issue that paid for the postage of sending that paper out and got us started. So I owe you. We owe you. Direct Results owes you.
You don't owe me anything. And to talk about Shelly, over the years there was times that I advertised with you in the GreeneScene, but you also did. You took care of my radio ads or other people that I advertise with. I'm like, I don't do the advertising. You got to call Shelly.
That's right. We did that for a while. Well, I knew you. I knew what you. Yeah. And I've always enjoyed working with you in that.
We've had a great relationship and still do, And we went from being business partners to friends. And
Debbie even likes me now.
I think she liked you from the beginning once she found out. Once she found out you weren't coming after me, so you just wanted my money.
Yeah, that's true.
She already had all that, so she wasn't worried.
So before we close, though, we'd like to do a thing. We call it the lightning round. So we put you on the spot a little bit. Maybe we've already done that some, but this really doesn't have much to do with lawn and garden, Murray. So this is a real test.
All right.
It does have to do with Greene County, though, and you born and raised. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I'm going to give you 2 possible answers and multiple choice, and you will choose the right one. Oh, this is a good one. How many people live in Greene County? So we're talking about the population in Greene County. A, approximately 34,000, or B, approximately 26,000. 50% chance.
I'm going to say it's the 34,000.
You're right. And that's good.
Right. I know. I always used. It used to be. It was. We have about 30,000 people.
Right.
In Greene
That's
County.
what I've always heard. Yeah.
I kind of wavered the other way because I know people have left, but we're still
good. There. That's good. Yep. So here we go. Now we're going to talk about the ground again. How many acres are in Greene County? No, wait a minute. Here's your choice. Approximately 120,000 acres. Or B, approximately 389,000 acres in Greene County.
I'll go with the 389,000.
Bingo, you got it. Who was Greene County named after? A, Dr. Greenlee, or B, Nathaniel Greenlee?
Green.
What year was Greene County established? A, 1796, or B, 1825?
1825.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. All right.
Seven.
Now here's a true or false. True or false? Greene County is a major wool producer.
Is? I know
the way
they
it's written
were,
here.
so I'll say it is.
True. Here's your
Yeah,
say.
I know.
That's
I mean,
right.
we were one of the. In high school, I wrote my term paper on the history
wool?
of sheep and wool.
What
yeah.
did you? He's an expert in so many areas. It's true. It's true. Even now, it also has one of the highest sheep populations in the state.
Yeah.
And finally, how many covered bridges are there in Greene County? A, 4, or B, 7?
7.
That's right. All right. You can tell. Yeah. We'll clap for that. All right. Well, it sure has been fun.
Yes.
Having you here.
For me too.
Good. We appreciate it. And is there anything else you'd like to add or say about anybody? No, it's
I
all
don't
good.
think so. I appreciate all the questions and giving me the opportunity.
All right, we do too. Tell the staff back there that we appreciate them, and we encourage everybody to check out Four Seasons Lawn and Garden. And thank you so much to our listeners here for tuning in to this episode of the GreeneScene Podcast. We will have another one for you, so just stay tuned, check on it, and we'll talk to you the next time.